Hey racers and riders, welcome to another video. Today's video is how to become a gold class rider. So this is specifically for you enduro guys that want to move up for the ranks, whether you're a bronze rider or a silver rider and you want to be able to get into that top class. There's a few things that I'll cover. The main problem is that there's probably a lot of you that have that aspiration to be able to get up there, but you don't have a clear path or a clear way of getting there, getting to where you want to go. So there's 3 steps that I use, and it's a little bit of a framework. I didn't even know it was a framework, but I use the same process that I've come up, which I use for myself for coaching, and I also use with my riders and racers for helping them to make progress with what their goals are. And I was actually speaking to someone this morning who had aspirations to go and play cricket for Australia, and I was going through this, and for me, I think because I've been doing it so long, it seems like common knowledge, but I realize that there's a lot of people out there that don't understand what they need to do to get to where they want to go. So that's what I'm going to go through. Now, 3 things that you need to know. Okay, first thing that you need to know is, and I tried to put them in order here, is the first thing you need to find out is where do you want to go? So what's your actual goal? Okay, so for this video specifically, it's about getting into that gold class of racing. Okay, so what is your aspiration? What is your goal? What is your target? Okay, and that can be any goal. If you're not doing hard enduro stuff and you do a different type of enduro, or you do motocross or a different form of motorsport, what's the goal and what's the target? So to stick with our example for today in that gold class, where do you want to be finishing up in that gold class? What's your ultimate goal? So do you want to be winning races and being on the podium with the best of the best? Do you want to work on racing professionally? Are you happy just to get into gold class and just be able to do some of the stuff? Are you happy just to get into gold class and finish the races? Okay, because a lot of people don't finish because they are quite tough. Is it top 10, top 20, top 50? What is it? What's the goal? So first of all, be very specific with where you want to go, a specific outcome that you can measure. So is it top 10? Is it top 20? Is it first? Is it just getting into gold class? What is that outcome for you? Once you've got that outcome and you know where you want to go, then we're going to find out where we are now. Okay, so that's quite easy. Maybe you're a bronze rider, okay? Maybe you finish up top 10 in bronze at the moment, okay? So where are you now? Where do you normally finish up? What grade are you in? What's your average result, okay? So let's say you're a top 10 bronze rider and you want to get towards being a top 10 gold rider, okay? Let's say for example today. Now we've got a gap. As you've probably seen already, we've got a gap between what a top 10 gold rider looks like and what a top 10 bronze rider looks like, okay? Very different riders. Now, in order to be able to get to that gold class level, there's certain things that you aren't doing that aren't allowing you to be at that level. And if you were doing them, you would be at that gold class level. So we need to identify what are those things. And I try and narrow them down to 3 things to start off with. So what you want to find are what are your 3 biggest weaknesses as a rider? Okay, what are your 3 biggest weaknesses? And so you really need to self-reflect here, okay? Because it's not looking at what's happening in the external environment. It's not looking at what's happening with the other riders and racers, or if you've been given enough opportunities, okay? Or if your mindset's in the right spot and all that sort of stuff. It's just looking inside. It's going, okay, there's these riders out there that are top 10 in the gold class. I'm top 10 in bronze. What are the 3 things that are holding me back the most from moving up to the next level? Obviously to silver first. So on reflecting, you might look at your riding and go, okay, the 3 things are, number 1, I am really shit at balancing on the bike. So I'm good at the hard enduro stuff when I come up to sections where I've got a bit of momentum, like maybe a rock garden, for example. But when I come up to say like a wall where I've got to sit and balance and, get in the right position on the bike and then go, I'm terrible. Always fall off balance. I put my foot down. And it makes it really hard for me to get these challenging obstacles or jump up walls. That might be 1, so balance. And number 2, maybe you're shit at pivot turns, okay? Maybe you need to, for the particular riding you're doing, maybe you need to be good at pivot turns and being able to spin the bike around in really tight conditions. And in bronze, when you get to those tight spots, there's not too many of them, but when you do have them, they're really hard for you to get the bike around. And that's where you really struggle and lose time on the track. So it could be pivot turns. And then the 3rd thing could be, I don't know, riding rock gardens, let's say, for example, okay? Really shit at rock gardens. So all the other sections you're quite good at, you can move through quickly. When you get to rock gardens, you find it hard to move the bike around and to get to different sections, and you find it hard to pick a good line, okay? So there are 3 weaknesses. Your 3 weaknesses are going to be specific for you, whatever they are. So now, for me as a rider, okay, or for this rider, this top 10 bronze rider, they're only going to get better as a rider if they can improve these 3 weaknesses, okay? Now, with all the riding time they got, they can do anything in their riding time, okay? But if they're not working on these 3 areas, they're not getting the best return for their investment of time every time they go for a ride in terms of progressing their riding. Might be fun to go out and ride and do whatever you want, but if you're not working on these 3 things, the progress you see in your riding is not going to be as large or as quick as what it could be. So, what you need to do now is find a drill for each of these. Preferably start off with the one that you're most shit at and just focus on that, and then second shit at, and then third shit at, right? So start with the biggest one. So if the biggest one is balancing, okay, let's say for an example here, find 3 drills that will get you better at balancing. What are 3 things you can do to get better at balancing? Okay, you can do balancing on the bike in the shed at home with the bike off. You could do it with the bike on, okay, if you're out at the track. So let's say, so you can do that at the track. You could work on hopping with the bike, or jumping the front of the bike around with the bike turned on, or even turned off and make it harder, I assume. Whatever other drills you've got, okay? I'm not a riding and racing coach, so I don't know. It's not my area of expertise. So find drills. Go and work with a riding coach. Go and watch some YouTube videos of some of the pros and see what drills they recommend or what drills they do. Find the best drills you can find to improve your balance. Now that we know what drills you need to do, now you actually need to do them. So you need to set up a schedule for yourself. So a good schedule to set up is, okay, every time you go and ride, spend the first 15 minutes of every ride working on those drills for that number 1 weakness. Okay, so if it's balance, go and work on balance. For the first 15 minutes of every ride, go and work on balance. Okay, if it's rock gardens, go and work on something that's going to help you with rock gardens. If you're a motocross rider and it's ruts, go and work on ruts for the first 15 minutes. Whatever your weakness is, your riding will always be limited by your biggest weakness. So work on eliminating that, okay? Make that the priority with your riding. So every time you go for a ride, work on that weakness. Now what will happen after you've done that for a period of time, a period of 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, however often you ride, you'll find that that weakness is no longer a weakness anymore and starts to become a strength. So again, your overall riding improves, your overall results improve. And then you work on the next thing. What's the second in line? Okay, maybe it's the, whatever, I can't remember what we did for number 2. Third, I think, was rock gardens. Anyway, let's say it's rock gardens. Then you go, okay, work on skills to eliminate rock gardens. Do that for 4, 8, 12 weeks. Once you've done that, then you move on to the next thing. So you're always working on the thing at the bottom, always bringing something at the bottom further towards the top, bottom to top, bottom to top. Common mistakes that I see here. People don't take responsibility for their progress. They just go and ride, right? And they don't look inside. They go, oh yeah, but these other guys are winning because they've got a brand new bike and my bike's a couple of years old, or they've got an exhaust on their bike and it's more powerful than mine and I don't have as much horsepower as them, or they've got more money and they spend more money on their bike and put it on the dyno and I don't do all that sort of stuff, or they've got white power suspension and I've just got standard stuff that came with my bike and I don't have all that aftermarket stuff to make my bike go faster. So take responsibility, okay? You got to look inwards and look, okay, what are the things you can control? You can't control a lot of the external factors that are happening out there at the track, okay, that go into racing. You've got to look inwards and go, what are the things I can control, the things I can put work in with? So that's the number 1 mistake I see, is people just blaming outside things and not actually doing any work themselves. Second is they got no path. So they're just like, oh, I'll try and get better. I want to get, into gold class for this year or for next year or for whenever it is. And they got no plan of attack, no strategy, no tactics, no overview of what that's going to look like. They just keep going riding every year and just hope and pray that they're somehow going to get better. Not a very good strategy. Third thing is they rely on effort alone. And this was a big one for me with my riding and racing. I relied a lot on just putting in work, right? Going training, going riding, and just trying to outwork people, trying to do more training and more riding or more of this or more of that. And now effort is part of the formula, but an effort is not the formula, okay? You have to make sure that effort is actually directed in the right area. So if you're doing the wrong training, you're doing the wrong exercises, you're doing the wrong drills, it doesn't matter how much effort you put into riding or effort you put into training and fitness or whatever it is, it's not going to get better and you're not going to see the improvements you're after unless you've got the right strategy in place. So you have to make sure that you're doing the right stuff. Effort is part of the equation, but it's not the whole equation. So hopefully you guys found this helpful, and hopefully not just enduro guys, you can use this really for anything that you're wanting to make progress towards. If you'd like some more help with this stuff and improving your riding and racing going into next year, I'll put the application link above or below to work with me. Otherwise, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll chat to you soon. See ya.